Sports. I am that man, your man, the illustrious tour guide, Cole Johnson. And on this episode, we're going to talk about CBAs, fan behavior when it comes to athletes, sportsmanship and trash talking, and other things. Of course, we're going to go in. We're going to send an email. We're going to go from the vault. And of course, we're going to award the DOLT of the week. That's what we always do. And that's what we're going to continue to do even with this episode. And speaking of this episode, we're also going to do what we always do at the beginning of it. Headlines, please. Let's start with the national champions, the men's national champions. The men's college basketball game, and I don't mean the finals, I just mean the game in general, the tournament in general. It was okay. I won't say it was great, but it was okay. And the reason why I say it was okay is that you do have your upsets. I mean, you had Furman over Virginia, you had Fairleigh Dickinson over Purdue. You had Arkansas in the second round, in the round of 32, beating Kansas. Of course, you had Houston taken on the chin along with, along with Alabama in the Sweet 16. So you didn't have a number one seed that advanced the Elite Eight. You had a number two seed in Texas advance to the Elite Eight, but didn't advance there. The highest seed that did was the number four seed, UConn, and they won. Now, you had those moments, and San Diego State had two spectacular moments. The Elite Eight game against Creighton, where a free throw with 1.2 seconds left got them into the Final Four, and then a buzzer beater completed a comeback against Florida Atlantic University, 72-71, in the national semifinals. Of course, they unfortunately took it on the chin, 76-59, to the eventual champion Connecticut Huskies. Now, they said that you'll remember all of the upsets that brought you here, but no, unfortunately, you're going to remember the winner, and many more will remember that Final Four in 2023 in Houston. Who was in it? It was UConn and of course, yes, it was Miami, San Diego State, and Florida Atlantic that rounded out the four. But my point is, last year, you had Duke, North Carolina, and Kansas, 3 of the 4 in the Final Four. That's my point. You're not going to remember who did what in the tournament. You're only going to remember the national champion. And you're also going to remember the national champion this year laid waste to every team by beating every one of them by double digits. So, yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the women's side of things, because that actually was the more exciting of the two. But speaking of the men's national champion, it looks like UConn fan seemed to not know how to conduct themselves, as more than a dozen people were arrested and 16 others were hospitalized as Connecticut students went ham celebrating the national championship, the 5th in the last 25 years from the men's side, if I'm not mistaken. And a total of 15 other people were arrested and charged with various crimes around the school campus of stores, most of whom were students. The university spokesperson, Stephanie Reese, said in a statement that the university did not say what crimes were committed. Now, she added that 16 other people were taken to local hospitals for injuries, and they were evaluated for those serious injuries. She actually said that none of them were considered, thank God, to be significant. Now, the celebrations came following the 76-59 victory Monday night in Houston over San Diego State, as more than 10,000 people watched at a watch party at Gampel Pavilion, the school's basketball arena. You got to take care of your surroundings if you're going to enjoy yourselves. You can't go buck wild because you don't know if you're going to be hurting people. Celebrate, yes, but literally be responsible when you do. Turning our attention from the college ranks to the professional ranks, the NBA is now at the final turn, heading into the play-in round section of the year. And in the East, everything is set. Yes. The teams that's going to represent the East, 10 will be going forward. Of course, the first six, the Bucks, the Celtics, the 76ers, the Cavaliers, the Knicks, and the Nets pretty much are safe. Well, the other five are safe. The Nets, they got to make sure they can hold off the Heat in order to not slip down into the playing round section. As the Heat right now, they currently enjoyed the seventh seed, but the Heat, the Hawks, the Raptors, and the Bulls round out the 10. And of course, the playing round will be next week, where of course 7 meets up with 10, 8 meets up with 9, and so forth and so on. After the series of games, the top two will advance to the next round, the first round of the NBA playoffs, where right now, as we speak, the Celtics will hold on to the number seed. The Sixers are wanting to get the 2 seed. They pretty much have sewn the number 3 seed. The Cavaliers are pretty much sewn the number 4 seed, and the Knicks are pretty much have the number 5 seed sewn. So you have at least a 4 or 5 that you're going to enjoy, I think. Cross your fingers. You might see the Sixers and the Celtics renew their pleasantries in the conference semifinals, and you might see the Bucks and the Celtics again in the conference finals. And speaking of the Bucks, they have home court advantage throughout all of the playoffs. So if they were to be as long as they go in the playoffs, they host every round, including the NBA finals. So the road NBA playoffs, including the finals, will go through Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Now in the West, it's a little bit more muddied, but the Nuggets have clinched the number 1 seed in the West. So the road to the West in going into the finals goes through Mile High City. So you have the Nuggets, you have the Grizzlies, who they're coming close to sewing down the number 2 seed, as up and down as their season has been. Congratulations to the Kings, Pacific Division champs. They go to the playoffs for the first time in 16 years. They have the number 3 seed sewn. And you have the Suns, who pretty much have the number 4 seed locked. It's not quite set in stone, but it's pretty much a certainty that the Suns will be the 4 seed. The interesting part about this is seeds 5 through 8. Right now, the Clippers hold the number 5 seed. The Warriors hold the number 6 seed. Both have the same record, but the Clippers hold the advantage over the Warriors. Then you have the Lakers and the Pelicans. The Lakers are in the 7th seed. The Pelicans at 8th seed. Those 4 teams are separated by 1/2 of a game. So you don't know who's going to be 5th. You don't know who's going to be 8th. And you don't know who's going to be in between. And then you have the Timberwolves, who I pretty much believe they have the number 9 seed sewn. And then you have right now the Thunder, who hold the 10 seed. But you have the free fallen Mavericks a half game behind. They have a shot at making it into play-in. The question is, will they do so? They were the number 5 seed when they made the trade for Kyrie Irving, and they have fallen 6 spots. And they may fall another because the Jazz are right behind them. So it isn't all the way over, because you got the Mavericks, who are a half game behind the Thunder. You got the Jazz, who are a full game behind the Thunder. We shall see what happens, but pretty much I would say 8 of the 10 it's sewn, although only 4 teams, as we have spoken in the West, have sewn spots. The other 6, it's still up for grabs. Got to be more careful. Now, we turn our attention to the Diamond, where we send our prayers to Rangers outfielder Josh Smith. He was taken to the local hospital after being hit in the face by a pitch during a Monday night game against the Orioles at Globe Life Field in Arlington. The left-handed hitter was struck on the right side. Of course, when you're batting left-handed, the right side faces the pitcher. Right side of your face faces the pitcher. And he was hit in the 3rd inning by a 1-0 slider from reliever Danny Colombo. It looks like it just got away from him. Smith spun back to his left and dropped to the dirt in the batter's box, breaking his fall with his left hand while holding his face with his right. The Rangers confirmed that Smith went to the hospital for testing on his face, and jaw. Well, we do hope at Cole Sports. We pray that Josh, you heal quickly, you get back, and you get back to doing what you love to do. This is a rough sport at times, but it's a beautiful sport when it's played right. And it's unfortunate that we have these incidents happen. But keep a good stiff upper lip, and hopefully you will be back on the diamond sooner rather than later. Now, going out west, sometimes you have to do smart things. Well, this one guy wanted to propose. He wanted to make a grand gesture. So at Dodger Stadium, this fan, I think he went just a wee bit too far. So on opening night, he wanted to propose to his girlfriend. So his girlfriend goes to the hospital, goes to the bathroom. This guy decides to get down into the field. So he finds his way from the stands to the field, and he faces the stands, and he sees his girlfriend walk back to the seat, and then he proposes. And then he gets tackled by security after running into the outfield to pop the question. So the guy who proposed was a sushi chef from Riverside, California. He was also brave enough to get down on his knee and ask his girlfriend for marriage. Now, the Los Angeles Times, he said his actions were a bit extreme, but it was done on a whim. That he had the ring, and he had a plan to ask the question in their seats, but since he was enjoying the action, he decided to get down on his knee, down on the field. You got to be more careful, sir. But I'm glad that everything's fine. It turns out that the girlfriend now is his fiance, because even though with that stupid move, she still said yes. And finally, the Masters are today, actually. And Tiger Woods, before the lead up to the Masters, was asked, well, how many more do you think you have? And he honestly answered that he doesn't think that he has many more. He doesn't know if he has many more left in him. But I will definitely help you with this, Tiger. The answer to that question is, quote, you, Mr. Tiger Woods, have no more Masters of complete relevance left. Close quote. Sorry, Eldrick. That's just the truth. And we're happy that you're up and about and you're playing golf. That's a great thing. But the Tiger Slam era and the era where you were the Wunderkind, those are long gone. We should celebrate that in its memory, and in its wake, we have to now see the guy who is unfortunately on the course a shell of his former self. And that concludes today's and this week's headlines. A break, and you can't see me. Oh, yes, we can. We'll be back. This is Cole Sports with a Z.
Steph Curry, Tim Anderson, Jordan Alvarez, and it's caught. Debo Samuel with the catch.
Michael Jordan consents.
The Fro just got the king.
BS3 Network.
The hottest of hot takes. The coldest of cold hard facts. This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Weekdays at 8 a.m. Eastern. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure. This is a BS3 Network presentation. Politics.
They'll write the law, but they'll enforce it differently. Is that going to apply both ways?
Religion.
God never said that we can't reason together. Matter of fact, he said, let us sit and reason together.
Relationship.
I believe that everybody wants and needs somebody.
From a man's perspective.
They say, girls, if I put some polish on that and get him to buy some different clothes, girl, he could be a winner chicken dinner.
Join the thought engineer.
There's nothing wrong with me developing my piece and you developing your piece, but understand the goal is to come together.
And comedian John Yogi.
Negro, I don't need you putting on no chapstick up there in the pulpit. You do that over there in your chair.
Get ready for
Let's Talk Monday. Woo!
Live every Monday at 7 p.m. Central.
Welcome back, Cole Johnson. Sports and trash talking does belong in sports. We'll get to that after we visit, for the first and 4 times we do, the VIP zone. This is the lifeblood of the show because we have to show love to those who appreciate this show and have something of how can I say this? Something of quality to contribute, because we do believe we are for the intelligent sports person. And speaking of all those, the first one, no credential required zone, Ryan McCarthy says, time to get classy. Don't be sassy. It's Cole Sports with a Z. Thank you, sir. And Victor Locke, or VLock83, says, get up on your feet because it is now time for the classiest sports show on the planet. Cole Sports with a Z. And now here's the star of Cole Sports, Cole Johnson. Thank you, sir. I will respond to the next one. Great response. I'll respond to your next one at the end. Victor says, so what is your take on the Jamira Shoots versus Elisa Brett situation? I will get back to you on that one. It's something that I have to really think about, but I have to get back to you on that. I can't really form exactly what I want to say, but I will definitely get back to you. BS3 Network, or Ben Sudadad. This show appears every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central on the BS3 Network. And it's also streamed via Roku TV as well. So if you have a streaming device that has Roku TV, you can see this along with seeing it now live and on replay on YouTube. You can also see it on the BS3 Network via Roku TV. Good afternoon to you, Ben. Hope everything is fine with you, sir. Victor asks, has Brother Guest stopped dancing, jumping down yet, Brian? That is for a reference from another show. So is this. So he was Voodoo Sushi Employee of the Month. Lord, why? Goodness gracious. Ryan says, look, Victor, Brother Guest sprained his ankle, but then he got one of the snacks from the terrarium. Good Lord, I can't even speak right. It bit him, but now he's dancing again. Snakes, not snacks. See, I love my my VIPs. They're wonderful, and I gain a lot of knowledge from them because they know what they're talking about. That's what makes me happy to do this type of show. When I get a chance to talk sports, and I talk it from a standpoint of not insulting the fan base, but actually letting them know that what they think and what they know actually matters, and it actually makes sense, then it makes for a better experience. So I appreciate these wonderful individuals. And you saw them, Victor, you saw Ryan, you saw Ben, and of course there's others, Andrew, A Pizzle, of course my man Snowman, of course Wise, and there's many others. But definitely these comprise of the greatest of the VIPs. And that is the first of the 4 VIP zone visits for today, this episode. And to give you a better understanding of the Jamira Shoots and Alyssa Brett situation, well, it was from a WNIT game, and Bowling Green beat Memphis 73-60, but Memphis guard Shoots decided to slide on Bowling Green guard Alyssa Brett in the face during the handshake line. You remember, and it wasn't too long ago, you remember when I think it was Michigan and Wisconsin, and I think this was last year, when everything was fine, well, fine-ish, and there was some things that seemingly the head coach, great, my brain is just not working right today. Juwan Howard, he took umbrage with the opposing head coach of Wisconsin, and during that, you started to see a lot of drama happen. To me, that is going out of bounds. You shouldn't have that type of energy at the end of a game. If it's between the chalk, or in this case, between the paint, during the game, different. And I don't really endorse fighting per se, but if you're going to take umbrage and take issue with it, let it happen before the clock strikes 0. But to do it at a handshake line, and if it wasn't for another person, I would have said that situation, Jamira would have been DOLT of the week, because that's a little classless. Even if the situation warranted itself. But that's something you should not ever do. I mean, if you can't take care of it when the game is played, you shouldn't have to take care of it when the whistle blows and when the clock strikes 0. You have to say, all right, fine. We'll leave it here. We left it on the court. Good game. Although I might not like you, good game. And you just go your separate ways. That's how I would believe it's supposed to be handled. But I'm not going to talk about that situation, but I am going to talk about the women's game, but not the WNIT, the women's Final Four. And we got a chance to see a wonderful, wonderful display of basketball, especially the 2 national semifinal games between South Carolina and Iowa, and LSU, the eventual national champions, and Virginia Tech. We saw really good games Friday night, and we saw basically a coronation Sunday afternoon. But of course, the talk was about this. The "you can't see me" John Cena taunt, that when Caitlyn Clark did it during the tournament, John Cena himself said, "I big up this, and I love it," and gave it his endorsement. And everyone liked the competitive fire that Caitlyn Clark exhibited. However, when Angel Reese, the center of the Tigers of LSU, decided to put a little extra stank on it in front of Caitlyn Clark, not only with the "you can't see me" taunt, but the pointing to the ring finger saying "scoreboard for real," there seemed to be a bit of an issue with fans. And I have a problem with that. And why do I have a problem with that? I think I need to display this in an email. Yeah. Ain't nothing possible about anything. Oh, people are not talking about the 102-85 LSU victory over Iowa. People are not talking about the horrible, well, I'll be kind, the outlandish suit that LSU head coach Kim Mulkey wore. People were not talking about LSU being the first women's team to score over 100 points in a national finals game from the women's side. And people weren't talking about Angel Reese in 39 games, notching her 34th double-double, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the most man or woman to ever happen in a single season. Not talking about any of those things. No, we're talking about this. Yes, the John Cena "You Can't See Me" taunt, which was popularized by John Cena circa 2003. And Caitlyn Clark decided to blow the dust off it 20 years later. And during the NCAA tournament, she was doing this every now and then. And then she showed she was a little saucy. Because in the trash talking efforts, I guess you could say trash talking or showmanship, in the national semifinal game Iowa played against South Carolina, there was a play that was out of the perimeter, and Caitlyn Clark was about 10 feet away from him. And she pretty much knew a three wasn't going to be launched because we're talking about South Carolina, a team full of physical post players. And she basically said, meaning, I'm not going to go out there because you're not going to shoot. And if you do, you're not going to make it. Which is, it's competitive disrespect, yes. But it's not disrespect all the way. But it's things that ball players have done one to another. We've seen it in the pros. Dare I mention, many did that to LeBron James before he decided to get okay with his 3-point shot, because the thought was, well, he doesn't really have a range, and you can just let him shoot, he'll brick. And in fact, Greg Popovich was like, okay, we know he can penetrate. Pause. But shoot threes and make it on a regular? Okay, we'll take our chances. It pretty much was that. But then we get to Angel Reese. She felt as though that she felt as though Iowa was disrespecting South Carolina. And she definitely felt that Caitlyn Clark was disrespecting pretty much the entire game. And she was like, they can't pull this stuff with us. And they could pull that stuff with them. And LSU, their scrappiness and their strong post play seemed to fluster and frustrate Iowa all game long. And then we don't even talk about any of those things. We talk about the one isolated incident, the one where you saw Angel Reese wanting to catch the gaze of one Caitlyn Clark. And she did this with her, around her, near her, until she saw her. And then once she locked eyes with her, after that, she then pointed to the ring finger. Basically saying, you can't see not only me, you can't see this ring we about to get. And many were just getting on Angel for this. Many were saying that this was classless. This was not sportsmanlike, and this was not ladylike. Well, you know what? How about I don't really want genteelness in athletics, even if it is a woman doing it? I don't want genteelness. I want fair play. Yes. I want respect, definitely. But just because it's a woman does not have to a woman doesn't have to, quote, play like a girl, close quote, which that's such a stereotypical, insulting way of saying softer or more feminine or effeminate or kinder. No. I want them to get after one another on the women's side, just as I want to see the men do the same. Because I'm not looking at them as, oh, those are women athletes. No, I'm looking at them as athletes. And guess what athletes do? They get competitive. And guess what the biggest competitive athletes do? They talk a little trash. We might not see the trash they talk. Believe me, I've been on the field. I know we're talking basketball. I've been on the field. And I guarantee you, in the stands, you don't see all the talk. You don't see all the trash that's talked on the field. Guaranteed, a fan does not. So if you can't see the trash that's on the field that's being talked, I'm most certain that you can't see all the trash that's talked on the court. You may hear some of it, but you can't see it. So Angel Reese decided to show up Caitlyn Clark with some trash talk. You know what? Good. Because this is what I have to say about it. And you can quote me on this. If you're strong enough to dish it out, then you're strong enough to take it. Close quote. So if Caitlyn Clark was willing to do this, well, she has to be willing to take doing this to her, which, to her credit, she did. And in fact, she actually defended Angel Reese not only as a player, but for her right to talk the trash that she talked, because she's like, well, she had every right to do it because scoreboard. She won. Her team won. Okay. And then let me get to the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden. Ma'am, I'm not sure if you know how athletics goes, but when the president of the United States invites a team to the White House, it normally is the winner of the event, the team that went in first place, the team that grabbed the gold medal, or the individual who grabbed the gold medal. It is not about the runner-up. So to me, to throw an invitation to Iowa, even though they were the runner-up in the 2023 Women's National Championship game, and to LSU, the national champions, it's an insult to the national champions. It's an insult to LSU. It's an insult to those girls. I'm sorry, insult to those young women. And it's an insult to that staff that worked hard from the time they got into school to now. It is an insult to say, well, all right, so that we can have a kumbaya moment, we'll invite the winners and the second place team. No. You invite the winner and let it stay there. Oh, and for you giant come latelys that just crawl out of your dark existence just to spit hot garbage and crawl back under it, stay where you are. Because what Angel Reese did is simple balling. That's a baller. Ballers do that. Ballers feel that moment. Ballers are like, she gonna get this work, or he's gonna get this work. In this case, she's gonna get this work. And then when they get that work, she's gonna let that person know you got that work. You know what, Angel? Continue to do that. Continue to do that. You did nothing wrong. You are full of class. I don't care if you're from the hood or your ghetto. I don't care about that. All I care about is you are a woman who's about trying to get your higher education degree, and you're doing it being one of the best basketball players, man or woman, that's young and coming into professional realm very soon, showing us what the future of the women's game is supposed to look like. And you should basically simply, Angel, enjoy just like your cousin, Jordan Hawkins of UConn. When you all have your cookout in the summer, or your family reunion in the summer, or a gathering in the summer, and the two of you meet, your family should celebrate the both of you. Because your family has two champions that happened on back-to-back nights. So that is what you should focus on. Focus on that, Angel. Focus on your championship, and a little bit focus on Jordan's championship. And just know that balling is all in the family. Don't even concern yourself with these idiots that are so soft it's not even funny. In fact, my pillows have more toughness than these fools' opinions have. Don't concern yourself with that. Continue to do you, continue to be you, continue to ball. And if you ball to the point where you feel so you want to talk trash, hit them with this again. Please. I'm Pretty please, with sugar and cherries on top. Hit them with it, because you know what? There's nothing wrong with it. And don't give me that, well, a woman can't do it, but a man can't. No. Men get trash too when they talk trash also. So, no, it's not even about that. You know what it's about. I'm not going to say it here, but you know what it's about. Do you, Angel? Because it doesn't matter. You keep shining. Because guess what you could say to these fools that you got that they don't? Stun on them.
You're listening to the classiest sports show on the planet. Go Sports! From the vault, a look back at a key moment in sports history.
April 5th, 1984. It was a Lakers game, but it wasn't at the Forum. No, this was actually in Las Vegas. The Thomas and Mack Arena had a game between them and the Jazz, but it wasn't just any game. No, this was a game where Captain Skyhook, the captain, was on the cusp of history. You see, if he were to have scored a certain amount of points, he would have passed Wilt Chamberlain on the all-time NBA most prolific scorers list, as Chamberlain sat on top with 31,419 points. And how fitting, Mr. Abdul-Jabbar broke the record with the most indefensible shot and the shot that he's most well known for, the skyhook. He took a pass, an entry pass feed from Irvin Magic Johnson, of course, to me, the greatest point guard of all time. Took it near the baseline. He faked the pass, and then he turned to his left, and then he hit a soft 10-footer over the Jazz Mark Eaton. With 8:53 left in the game, and the sellout crowd in Las Vegas went absolutely ballistic. The Lakers won the game 129-115. They went on to have a classic 7-game series in the finals against the Celtics, but they came up short. In fact, that was to be the 8th time, if not mistaken, that they've tried to beat the Celtics but could not. But as for Kareem that night, his teammates did hug him, and the crowd roared its approval. But Kareem took it in stride, as he always did. The class man, the class act, got a chance to celebrate a feat that no other could until now. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar became the most prolific scorer in NBA history on this date in 1984.
From the vault, brought to you by Go Sports.
You have to learn to live with yourself before you can make a commitment of yourself to someone else.
When you go to something that's already structured, like the church, I don't need to go in there thinking I'm the pastor. It's like already one set up, you know what I'm saying?
It just had everything, but I learned, you know what I'm saying? Everything I did, I learned from.
So we look forward to seeing you same time, same place. Know that we love you, God loves you more. Continue to stay safe, do the right thing, stay out of trouble.
Conversation that informs a community. Brothers of Legacy, every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Discouragement, sorrow, distance. Your arguments cause damage to your family. The hurt leads to divorce. You feel like there is nowhere else to turn. But there is hope for you. That's where we come into play. There is an overcomer that lives inside of you. One ready to take on the world as you leap for joy, living in victory. You'll grow to love yourself and others. There's life after divorce, and you can claim it today. Get Over Divorce, where your new story begins here every Thursday on YouTube and Spreaker.
Welcome back to Cold Sports. Cole Johnson here. And back to the VIP zone we head. And Ryan McCarthy, I love you, bro. You come up with some fire stuff. In the talk of the Bowling Green Memphis WNIT game, he says, she should have said after the game, quote, "I can't believe I had to shake that freaking chick's hand." Close quote. A la Darren McCarty, Claude Lemieux in the 1996 Western Conference Finals. Of course, that was between the Detroit Red Wings and the Quebec Nordiques. Colorado Avalanche. And that actually was one of the things that kickstarted a wonderful rivalry that I think extended like 5 years. Man, I miss those. I miss those days. Victor says, please go in on the Salters Marshmallow Pace fans. It's just ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. I'm like, what the heck you all complained about? These are athletes. They get down. Let them cook. Let them live. It's ridiculous. The Hawk TV, what's up, man? He says Cole Sports, aka Coley Cole, aka Cole Sports with a Z. It's good that you're aboard, Hawk TV. Love you, brother. Hope everything's well in the ATL. Ryan says more cowbell. How funny. Yeah. Victor says, and now flying in like an F-15 Strike Eagle, the Hawk TV. I love the fact that the VIP zone showing one another love. That's what we're about. We're about showing love around here. And I show love to who shows love to me and the show. And that's number 2 of the 4 visits to the VIP zone. But now it is time for your next DOLT of the Week. DOLT of the Week is sponsored by nobody. The winner of this episode's DOLT of the Week is the Los Angeles Angels third baseman Anthony Rendon. Now, why is he receiving this? So glad you asked. Opening day. It's a wonderful time to celebrate baseball once again. You know, we don't see it after the World Series concludes in November. And so now it's almost 5 months of no baseball. We get a chance to see baseball come again and come alive. And at the end of opening game between the Angels and the A's, you get Rendon confronting a fan in Oakland. So after the opener of opening night and the opener of that series. It was a video that showed that he confronted a fan. And the 32-year-old saw the fan. He then grabbed a chest full of shirt of the fan. But before then, he walked and then he dove back toward the fan. Now, the fan, of course, was seated in an elevated lower position. So the fan was looking down at Rendon, and Rendon was looking up at the fan. And so, of course, the Angels were walking by, and it was the passage for them from the field leading to the clubhouse at Oakland, Alameda County Coliseum. Thank you, the late Howard Cosell. So the fan, of course, was shouting something. I'm sure he did say a whole ton of obscenities because I'm sure he was looking up. I'm sure he was drunk, and I'm sure he probably did say a couple of choice words and obscenities in Rendon's direction. I'm sure of that. I'm sure that as my name is Cole Jansen. I'm sure of that. So, of course, to fuel even more of this, the Angels lost that game 2-1 to the A's. Rendon doubled back, looked at the fan, locked eyes with him, and then he grabbed the fan by the collar. And then he feigned as if he was going to swing on the fan. And then he let go, and then he walked to the clubhouse. Now, Rendon had this to say to his defense, and I'm glad that I guess you could say cooler heads prevailed and he saw the error of his ways. Quote, "It sucks. My emotions got the best of me. I'm usually pretty good about interacting with fans. Always like to chirp back at them, kind of have fun with it." Yeah. Mm-hmm. Close quote. This is open and shut. It is like what Jay-Z said, and I will continue to say this. I don't care if you feel as though you're a fan that's like, you know what, the athlete should pop off at the fans because it would teach the fans not to do certain things. Come from the Jay-Z school of understanding with this quote: "If you shoot me, you're famous. If I shoot you, I'm brainless." Close quote. And that is what Rendon had to understand, but at that momentary portion, forgot. Yes, it's cool. It's cool for fans to chirp, and it's cool for you to chirp back at them. After all, this was an A's player. I mean, this was an Angels player on A's soil. So you know you were going to get some type of friction. That happens. You're on the road. You expect it. You play 81 of those games, so you know 81 times you're going to get not the most favorable of reaction from a crowd in the given season, and that's just the regular season. If you play in the playoffs, it's even more. But you know you're going to get that. So, yeah, have fun with it, but don't take it personal. When you take it personal, that's when things get wrong. That's when things go left, and that's when you have incidents that shouldn't happen pop off. So I know there's many in today fandom that will say to me, well, you know what, Cole, what LeBron did last year, kicking out that fan in Indianapolis, that's really how they should do it. No. That is not how an athlete should do it. An athlete should look at that fan, opposing team fan, should look at that fan. He should look at the scoreboard because at the time when LeBron kicked that fan out, the Lakers were up by 3 on the Pacers, and he should just simply respond, quote, "Scoreboard, heifer," close quote. What else could she say that could top that? Not a doggone thing. Now, in this case, Rendon, it's unfortunate. He and his team took in so he couldn't say scoreboard, but you probably could have said something to the effect of, We'll get them. You're right. They got us tonight. Your boys got us tonight. We got a few more cracks at them, though. Keep it up. Good game. You can say whatever you want. We'll get back at them because we know the A's are cheap. See you tomorrow, chump. I mean, you could have said something of that nature. And guess what wouldn't happen? A suspension, which is what Rendon has now. Now, he got it appealed down to 4 games, but if he were to say something of that nature, the fan would have had a good time, the player would have had a good time. You would have promoted what you're supposed to promote. You go hard for your team as a fan, you defend your team as a player, and you don't get the other crap. You don't get the grabbing by the collar. You don't get the feigning of the throw of a punch. Because it really isn't that serious. Now, if the fan, and I've said this and I'll continue to say this, now if the fan decides he wants to get physical with the player, that's a different story. A fan should never get physical with players. Ever, ever, ever. EVER, ever. Never get physical with a player. Don't ever do it. Because to me, then all gloves are off. A player can defend whatever he can defend, however he defends it. Now, I know the league will say, well, that looks bad on the game. We got to suspend the player. I understand that. But in my opinion, fan went too far. Fan needs to understand that you can't do that. The fan in this case didn't throw a punch, didn't spit at him, wasn't physical with him. All he did was just talk junk. He just talked trash. The player lost his cool. And thank you, Anthony. You do understand you were in the wrong because that's not how you're supposed to do it. But hopefully you learn, and then you enjoy the back and forths when you are on the road in Seattle, in Arlington, in Houston, and in other places around the American, in some National League ballparks this year. But don't take it personal, because when you do, that's when you get into trouble. But take these 4 days, learn from that, bro. And I hope you get better from it, because you're too good of a player to have that type of incident mess you up. Because guess what that fan could say? I got into Anthony Rendon's head so much, he wanted to swing at me. I won. That's what a fan will do. The fan won, you lost. And it's unfortunate. And it's worse because the game is one thing, but you lost worse because now you're going to get other idiots that's going to come even harder at you. Thanks to this guy winning by seeing that he can get inside your head. When I come back, the NBA, CBA, and load management. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my. Oh, no. We'll be right back.
This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to show that attainability. I want to show the accessibility of this kind of lifestyle.
From social media to having conversations with friends and family, you always have to put on face and say face.
What brings a smile to my face is the one person that totally believes in me, and that's my beautiful wife, Jody.
I just had to stop because I didn't value myself. I didn't love myself. And it's like, I have to learn to love myself.
Changing the world one conversation at a time. This is Revelations. Are you looking for something to do on your lunch break? Well, there's a show on the BS3 Network that has only 4 words to say to you.
We ready. We ready. We ready for y'all. We ready. We ready. We ready for y'all.
with AJ, powered by JM&E. Live weekdays at noon Central.
Coming up on a special edition of Cole Sports, we're going to dig into the history of the Astrodome. Yes, that is going to be an interesting take of a show idea that I have that is comprised of Cole Sports. It's going to be called That Was Then. I guess you could say a documentary of sorts of the Astrodome. That is what's going to take place next week, as, of course, we sort of take a break from the understanding of playoffs are happening in the NHL, playoffs are happening in the NBA, and the regular season of the Major League Baseball season starting. And then, by the way, in less than 2 weeks, then, because it's now 3 weeks from today, but less than 2 weeks, it will be it will be the beginnings of the NFL draft. So, yes, of course, the middle of April, it's a huge, busy time, and I love it. So to the third of 4 visits into the VIP zone we go. And Victor, he says it best. He says, look, trash talk is usually the language of respect between competitors. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's to the point where people actually loved Larry Bird as much for his trash talking as is his ability to just simply eviscerate people with his shot. Because the dude would talk such ill stuff. He'd be like, okay, you see that part right there on the floor? I'm gonna get the ball from the inbounds pass right there. I'm gonna shoot it in your face. Nothing but net. And there's not gonna thing you can do about it. You on YouTube, there is a video, I think it's like 8 minutes long, of different players at the time admiring Larry Bird for his trash talking ability. Not necessarily the fact that he was cold. Of course, it helped along, but the fact that he averaged 24 points, pulled down 10 rebounds, and gave you 6 dimes a game for his career. But the dude would actually just tell you plays coming out the huddle, coming out from a timeout, and players could stop it. And they just loved the fact he trash talked like that. And they respected him more because of that. And Victor Law says, and now Stupid University presents DOLT of the Week. I actually might do that. And Ryan backs you up saying DOLT of the Week is sponsored by or brought to you by Stupid University. Stupid University, where everyone is left back. Victor says, didn't we have this conversation about Kyrie Pickett-Smith or Kyrie Irving getting mad and being booed? Yeah. And kicking an opposing team's fan out of the state of the arena. Yeah, stupid. Also, it's ridiculous that these players are showing their thin skin. Yeah, it is. It's like, I'm like, if I'm going in a visiting arena, I know I'm going to expect all of the vitriol coming in my direction because they want their team to win. So the joy I get is to shut them fools up. Correct me if I'm wrong. Victor says, look, now if the fan throws either a punch or an object, then that fan's wrong. Exactly. 100. That's where the fan is wrong. But the fan can say whatever he wants within reason, obviously. He can say whatever he wants. Just as long as he doesn't get physical with the player. And if the player gets physical with the fan just saying something at them, that means the athlete is thin-skinned, and that's wrong, and that's ridiculous. He also goes on to say, if you're going to let someone live in your heart, which you shouldn't do, but if you're going to, at least charge and collect rent. Oh, Victor's on fire today. He says, look, you should never let anyone live in your head, but if you're going to, at least charge rent and collect rent. But, I mean, no lies are told. No lies are found. That completes 3 of the 4 visits to the VIP zone. Keep those comments coming because, as I said, and I will always repeat this, You're the lifeblood of this show. You're the reason why I actually do this show, and I thank you all for it. Now, we talked about the men's college game. We talked about the women's college game. Let's talk about the men's professional game, the NBA. And Charles Barkley one time said that he felt as though that the players will be locked out eventually because of a lot of things that the NBA is about, one of them being load management. And so, yes, it is collective bargaining agreement time. And we should see what happens and what goes down and how they can agree, the players and the owners. But there's one thing that they need to collectively bargain for sure, and I don't think they will. And that's where I'm going to go in. So imagine this. So it's January. Let's just say it's the 20th. And let's pick a team like the Warriors. So they are making their only stop in Cleveland all this year. And the Cavaliers, they seem to have a pretty good squad. But all of the biggest stars of the Warriors are bench side. They're sidelined, yes. But it wasn't because of injury. It wasn't because of precaution. And it wasn't because of something that happened in that game. No, it was because the Warriors played a game in Boston 24 hours before. Now, it was a thrilling game because it was a rematch of the NBA Finals in last June. And the Warriors fell hard to the Celtics in overtime. All the big-time players logged heavy minutes. Curry, Green, Thompson, they logged minutes. Thompson logged 36 minutes. Green logged 37. Curry logged 43. So, of course, right after the game, the Warriors flew to Cleveland, and they got to Cleveland 2 a.m. They probably got to sleep at 3. And this was the last game of a 5-game road trip. And, of course, the road trip concludes with a back-to-back. But in effort to save them, the long-in-the-tooth Warriors, especially Thompson and Curry, definitely Thompson because of injury and Curry because of age and injury. The head coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, he decides to give Thompson, Green, and Curry the night off. Now, I know it wasn't an easy decision, but it's one that I think he felt justified in doing. Because he said he felt terrible, for the fans who bought tickets. They expect to see not just someone, they expect to see the best play, especially if it's a team like the Warriors, because you're going to Cleveland. And this is the only time anybody in Cleveland would get a chance to, up close and personal, see the Warriors unless they fly to wherever they'd play. But in Cleveland, this is going to be the only time of this particular year they're going to visit the city. So I think it would behoove them to want to show up. But no, Kerr held them back. Hey, but to the Warriors' credit, the short-headed squad won against an emerging Cavaliers squad. But what is the talk? Load management. Now, the players are having a CBA, and CBA means collective bargaining agreement. And one of the CBA terms that I heard actually sort of fits into the CBA, fits into the load management thinking process, because now, in order to win MVP or the most valuable player in the regular season, that player must play a minimum, not maximum, a minimum of 65 games. Now, this flies in the face of what the Woke People's Champion, Uncle Drew, the rebel without a pause, Kyrie Irving, or as Victor says, Kyrie Pickett Smith. This flies in the face of what he leaked out, or I should say what was leaked out in contract negotiations with the Nets, in saying that he wanted to play at the most 60 games and he would play 0 back-to-backs. Well, if he were to play 60 games, that means that Kyrie would not be eligible to win Most Valuable Player. Good. That's a step in the right direction, but it's not quite all the way there. It's not quite all the way there. So the Pelicans guard, C.J. McCollum, who's the president of the National Basketball Players Association, or the labor union for the players, he says he's sensitive to the league's concerns about the impact load management has. Now, there's a league source that says it's become a major point of emphasis during the CBA talks between the players and the owners. Now, McCollum says that he understands the effects it's having on the business of the game. Then, obviously, they think about looking forward to figuring out ways to continue to keep the players healthy and safe. But this is an issue because you have moments like these. You have incidents like these. Because it will hurt the sport more if you're not going to have players out there. And that's the thing. You got to have the players out there. Now, is it grueling? Of course. But you have to understand that if you're signed to do this, then it's a must. And this is why I've had an issue with LeBron James. And to a slighter degree, Kawhi Leonard. I had an issue with it because they throw on a uniform, they get paid loads of money, but they can pick and choose when to play and when to sit. Injury, that's different. But if you're healthy, why sit? If you know that you are the reason, especially if you're LeBron James, and even to a slighter degree, if you're Kawhi Leonard, if you know that most of the 20,000-ish people who come to an arena and pack it, they're doing so to see you, whether they want to see you succeed or fail. They're doing it to see you. So shouldn't you award those fans by putting the uniform on, getting on the court, and giving it the best you have? Because I thought it was, we got time to rest in the summer, but you don't, because you play pickup games like it's regular season games in the summer. You know, those rec leagues that you have in LA or Houston or Orlando or different areas around the country where pros get together and play. You all don't have an off season. You all don't have an off switch. But when it comes to the NBA regular season, all of a sudden an off switch is necessary. That's where you have to understand that this is hurting the bottom line. It is hurting business. I mean, it's to the point where if we were to watch the game and we're seeing bench players and role players star in it, that's an issue. Because I did not come to watch the Celtics and the Bucks, and I'm seeing Giannis and Middleton sit for the Bucks, and Tatum and Smart and Brown sit for the Celtics. I didn't come to see that. I came to see the best of the best. Like if it's the Nuggets and the Grizzlies, within reason. I want to see on one side Nikola Jokic try for a triple-double. I want to see Ja Morant try to dunk all over any and everybody that's known the man. That's why I'm seeing it. Now, I didn't come to see Dylan Brooks wanting to fight everybody, but that's another story from another time. I came to see that whether it's on TV or in the arena. Don't give me an excuse of, well, 82 games is a long season, and I know you all are trying to negotiate playing less games. Oh, and by the way, you're also trying to negotiate a mid-season tournament too. as if the game is becoming less recognizable enough. You want to play, if I'm not mistaken, 78 regular season games instead of 82 and have a mid-season tournament. To both. What's the point? You have a mid-season tournament for what reason? So you can have a team have basically a participation trophy? Oh yeah. So yeah, the Warriors, they may have won the NBA championship, but hey, we're here with the lowly Rockets. We won the mid-season tournament. Who cares? And it's all because I think there's a failure to communicate. There is some lapse somewhere. I don't know what or where, but there's a lapse. And this lapse needs to stop, and it needs to start trying to coalesce into an understanding of you can't arbitrarily miss games because you're on a back-to-back, which you have gotten less of now. They extended the season so that teams would play less back-to-backs. So what do you want to do? You want to extend the season to 7 months long that you don't have any back-to-backs? Then you won't have an excuse to have load management then, but I guarantee you will try it. When the players and the owners come to the table, they both have to come to the understanding that the bread is buttered with the superstars to play. That is where the bread is buttered. Because I guarantee, if more load management possibilities pop up and happen, you're going to have more and more fans check out more than they want to invest, check again. So I'd revisit that load management thing. I'd revisit it very closely and very hard. Because if you find that this is the way of the future, then so is more and more empty arenas. It's going to now reflect those empty arenas that we saw in the late 70s. But instead of players taking amphetamines, it's players taking the powder. And I don't mean I mean taking a break from playing. Because with their actions, they're saying the fans do not matter. And that's a problem. And that's a problem you got to fix now. All right, one last time as we visit the VIP zone, and I love doing this because it's just great to have wonderful interaction between myself and the VIPs. Victor says, it seems like soon the players are going to be demanding power nap times during halftime as well as spa time. I think we might be headed toward that for real, Victor, and that scares me. Ryan says, Michael Jordan said something to the effect of not wanting to leave the fans disappointed if they paid a ticket to watch him play. That's something missing in this generation's player. Yes, Ryan, it is. And yes, Jordan did say that. He said, I wouldn't want to take a day off because their fan paid a ticket to see me play, so I'm going to give them the satisfaction of seeing me play. That's the attitude that the players should have, not my body is a brand and I got to take care of it and screw whichever fandom that it happens to happen to. Screw them. Screw the fans. Because that's what those actions are dictating, whether they're trying to say that or not. And guaranteed, you say it often enough, people are going to be like, well, even if you are playing, we really don't care. They don't want to go there, but they're dangerously close to having that happen. If you feel led to donate, go to cash.app/$host Cole Johnson. That's cash.app/$host Cole Johnson. and I appreciate any and all donations to the show, which it will be poured back into making this show even more quality than it already is. And the quality starts with you. And that's all the time I have. Thank you so much for joining me on the sports excursion that is Sports on Another Level. I am Cole Johnson, and this is Go Sports!
Thank you for tuning in to Go Sports! To download this episode, go to Spreaker and type Cole Sports with a Z. For apparel, go to Spring and type Cole Sports VIP Boutique. That's with a Z. To reach Cole Johnson, go to flowcode.com/page/host Cole Johnson. This has been a Comey Media Incorporated presentation.